And thank you for inviting me to take part in BrewEdIsolation. I'm very excited by the prospect. My name's Becki and I'm a teacher in South Wales, and I've been teaching for about 20 years now, or not quite, but nearly. And I lead on the digital competence framework, which is part of our national strategies in Wales. I'm also the lead teacher for ICT, and I advise the CD team on how we are moving forward as a whole school for our digital development. I'm a mum to twin girls, which is why this is pre-recorded, because even though they're 9, they love to be quite near all the time. And I also am undertaking a professional doctorate in education. And about 2 years ago, I wrote my thesis proposal, which was to look at mid-career teachers and how they are negotiating the challenges of digital development in their classroom. Little did I know that 6 months before I started actual thesis stage, this would become the reality for the majority of teachers across the UK. So it's quite an exciting thing to be looking at now, if a little bit panicky as well. So why teaching without a photocopier? Well, that photocopier is our lifeline. It sits in the reprographics room. It's ready for us whenever we need it for those last minute lessons. We've all got that folder in a cupboard with our emergency lessons, end of term, end of a long week. It's a Wednesday afternoon and we've had a difficult one. The photocopier is there. But now we are teaching online. And to clarify, what I mean by online is I'm talking about asynchronous learning using something like a virtual learning platform where teachers are posting work to students and students are then returning work virtually. It's a very different world. Even for me as an ICT teacher, where every day, my lessons were to get out the computers, log yourself on. This is a totally different world of experience for us, and more so for subjects such as PE and technology, where the practical nature has been somewhat taken away from them. It's difficult for students who are autistic. It's difficult for younger students to understand and not have that social time. So this is a very different world. And that photocopier, that sort of the mainstay of the back of a staff room or the reprographics room, is nowhere near us at the moment. I started off thinking about what did we know. So we knew this was coming. We had a bit of a heads up. We were talking about when will it be? Will it be Wednesday? Will it be Thursday? Will it be next week? And when we thought, right, we need to do something about this, and my head teacher said, right, come on, we need some crash course training, please. A week before we finally shut our doors to pupils, we did a crash course training session on using video links and Microsoft Teams. As a school, we were using Google Classroom predominantly, but not everyone was really fully engaged with it. Lots of people had avoided using it. They just didn't need it in their day-to-day classroom experience. We were aiming, as part of the digital development plan, to move towards Teams for Key Stage 4 and for faculty use, but we hadn't got there yet. We hadn't really started planning for it. So we did a 1-hour crash course on using Teams and video conferencing. I put some experienced staff in different rooms around the school and held a video call, which obviously didn't work for us. And we then moved forward with that. I've got some fantastic pupil digital leaders, and they produced step-by-step guides a couple of years ago. They revamped them, they branded them, and they sent them all out to staff again, which was brilliant. We were very clear, the leadership had made it very clear that we needed to set ourselves up first and our faculties up first and work then collaboratively. So we've got departments who are sticking to their own classes. We've got departments where one person is in charge of the year 7, one is in charge of the year 8, and so on. It didn't really have a hard line of what we needed to do. It was much more on a flexible, fit this around what you can do first of all, and let's see how this works. We made some decisions about what we wanted our students to learn. I'm just going to move my face from that side to the other because you can't see my last picture. I love this going across the screen. So we decided that we wanted our students to stick to what they know. They were used to using Google Classroom. That was going to be our predominant virtual learning environment for across this closure. I was going to keep 2 teams for some of my classes, as were the science department, because our classes were used to it, but the rest of us were sticking to Google Classroom. We were going to share those class codes out. We were going to ensure that everything was kept as simple as possible, because ultimately we know that some of these students are not going to engage as fully as they would in a lesson. Some of them can't for various reasons. Some of them may not have access. Some of them may not have the internet. They may not have devices. It might be shared devices. It might be a difficult home life. So we wanted to keep it as simple as possible. And whilst not exactly unstructured, we wanted to keep it as flexible as possible. We wanted to revisit taught knowledge and skills and set those consolidation activities. It's about space learning. It's about retrieval practice. It's all of those things that we are now learning from cognitive science research that we've been talking about for a long time. And ultimately, remember the well-being, both of the staff and of the students. We were advised by our senior team to aim for a 50% teaching timetable. So if we had 2 lessons a week with a class, give them enough work for about an hour, 1 lesson instead, so that we could spread it out and keep our own well-being going, whilst some of us were at home with our own children, and some of us were having other caring responsibilities, and some of us were in the hub working, but also for our students who had many, many other pressures and emotional things going on in their head during this time. Okay, we then had a little think about development. We set up a couple of Microsoft Teams, and we tried to encourage people to aim for 1 new application or skill. So this week I sent out a little mini video on using Screencastify to collate some evidence for pupil feedback. We want people to get good at one thing. We want them to use it a lot. We want them to be able to teach someone else and then pick something else. So next week I'll be sending out a little video of something else. I haven't decided yet what it's going to be. I've got a couple of days, it'll be fine. But get really good at one skill. Make use of the experts in the room. So our professional learning team, which we set up sort of more of a lounge, more of an informal staff room area, is designed to do that. It's designed to people to dip in and out, have a little look round, and to continue with their own development when they've actually got possibly a little more time to do it. Because whilst the pressures are still there, we don't have those constant lunchtime, break time, after school things going on that mean that we can't actually sit and reflect on our practice quite as much as we'd like to. And finally, it's all about the evaluation, the thinking, the rethinking, the reviewing. Some of us have realised we've thought too big. Some of us have realised we haven't done enough. But actually, and if I just move my face one more time, we know that we actually should all be thinking. And this constant thinking and renewing and changing of pedagogy, embracing ed tech for the first time, is going to make all the difference. So I haven't got a slide for the final one, but it's a bit of a plea, particularly for any educators out there who are based in Wales. And this is for my research. If anyone's interested in keeping a journal of what they are actually going through on a day-to-day basis, particularly in terms of their use of EdTech and digital learning, the challenges, the successes, how they're feeling about it all, I would be really keen to hear from you, as we're all reflecting anyway. But if there are any particularly Welsh teachers out there who want to get involved with that, just drop me a message. So my overall sort of takeaway from this, I guess, is that the photocopier isn't right behind us anymore, but actually there's an awful lot more powerful tools that are right there. We've just got to take our time slowly and learn how to use them. Thank you very much for listening.